Some brands offer you low finance, or cashback, or servicing.
Renault don't do ors. We do ands. The Renault Kadjar with 1.91% APR and €1,000 cashback and 3 years servicing, saving you thousands. Renault, the brand with the ands. Visit your local Renault dealer. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
Welcome back into the Sports Memo betting podcast. Right now we're doing NHL with our NHL expert Andrew McGinnis. McGinnis, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hey, Drew, it's great to be here. Can't wait to talk some hockey. We're on a little streak here, and man, the season's off and running. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on it so far, and a lot of great games tonight, so can't wait to go over it, man. It's going to be a good night. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and yeah, you're talking about a good streak in many facets. 71 and 57 NHL year-to-date, 63% in total, so keep up the good work. You got a 2-pack right now up at sportsmemo.com for just $25. Check that out as you listen to the podcast, and also a good streak on the free plays we're giving out here on the podcast. 4 and 2, and I gotta thank you, man. Personally, I tailed you in just 21 minutes into the game. You had an over of 5.5, I believe, and it hit. Yeah, right 1 minute into the second period, man. Thank you, McGinnis.
Oh, absolutely, man. My pleasure. Happy to have it hit, and hopefully some viewers and people listening as well were able to cash. And I'll tell you, Drew, it's always nice to get those ones where you're not really sweating it out. I mean, the total's posted at 5.5, and Calgary puts up 7 goals on their own. It's always nice.
Absolutely, bud. And we got, 6-ish games to go over on tonight's card, starting off at the top of the card, 51-52, 7 p.m. Eastern. Puck drop it is. You're the one that taught me that. San Jose
there we go.
At Buffalo. Looks like the Sharks seeing as high as minus 143 at Bookmaker, seeing minus 136 at BetOnline, 6 being the total. Little juice on that as well. How you looking to bet this one?
Yeah, Drew, this doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. I mean, San Jose is laying around $1.40 at some spots, and Buffalo's on a 9-game win streak right now, and playing pretty much dominant hockey right now, and winning games by a couple goals, and also winning a lot of close games as well. So I've been very impressed with Buffalo. I mean, I believe they're the second seed in the East right now, so they've looked great. But San Jose is kind of coming into their own. But the biggest thing that I'll continue to say about San Jose, man, is that they're just inconsistent. They're one of those teams where they should be such a dominant defensive team with that core they have back there. Marc-Edouard Vlasic, of course, Carlson back there, and they still have not stepped things up defensively. And their goaltending continues to worry me as well with Aaron Dell and, of course, Marty Jones. So, I mean, their last game, losing to the Vegas Golden Knights 6-0, that's kind of despicable in my eyes. This Vegas team has been struggling to score, and they walk all over the Sharks. We're seeing a posted total of 6 in this one. I think this one gets off to a really fast start. I see a really high-scoring game in this one. Buffalo is not struggling to score whatsoever, and they're playing at home tonight. Look for a higher-scoring one in that. Jeff Skinner just can't be stopped right now, Drew, and I think he'll dominate this Sharks team. So first pick for me here, give the over in the Sharks and Sabres. We got Martin Jones and Carter Hutton between the pipes, and 2 good goalies, but 2 guys that can be a little vulnerable in there as well, Drew. So go over the total, Sharks and Sabres.
All right, good stuff, McGinnis. And guys, remember the coupon code Andrew NHL 398. We're doing it today and tomorrow only. That's Andrew NHL 398 at checkout, and you can get the rest of his NHL season. That includes the playoffs, no extra charges later, all the way through the Stanley Cup for just $398. So it's a great deal there at sportsmemo.com. That coupon code is Andrew NHL 398. Next game up, we got 55-56 Carolina, Montreal. Looks like Carolina minus 118 favorite, 6 being the total.
Well, I think a lot of people know where I'm going with this one, and I haven't been a homer really at all, but everyone knows I'm a big Montreal fan, and this is a great, great spot for them here, Drew. Anyone that follows the Habs or follows the Eastern Division whatsoever, they know this is the return of Shea Weber, the big defenseman. I'm not sure if you've heard the controversy and argue and debate about it, but man, the fact that was a 1-for-1 trade, PK Subban for Shea Weber. I know there were some problems in the locker room. There's a couple errors, a lot of rumors about it, Drew, but overall, PK Subban has more points played, or points for Nashville, than Shea Weber does have games played for the Montreal Canadiens. Why am I saying this? Because it's time for Shea Weber to make an impact, make a difference. They've given him the captain. He has a C on his chest, and he hasn't played a game yet for this Canadiens team. This is his big debut tonight. He'll make a difference. He's a huge body. He'll make a difference defensively. He'll also make a difference with that powerful slap shot he has on the power play. Try and get this power play going for the Montreal Canadiens. And let's face it, this Montreal team's kind of fell off a little bit. They started off being a team that could score very easily. And I think this Carolina team, though, they're a team that doesn't get off to good starts. They usually score most of their goals late in the game, if not the third period. And, this is a good spot for Montreal to come out strong. They're coming off a couple one-goal losses, couple tough losses, overtime losses as well. And I think this is a spot where they bounce back huge here. And they're laying a pretty good price. So, they're small favorites, minus 120. I'll gladly take that here. I think it's a big impact. Shea Weber back in the lineup. I think it boosts the team a lot. A lot of players saying it's great for the locker room to have him back. He's a great team chemistry guy, but they've sure missed him on the ice, and I think he'll make a huge difference. Look to see that line of Domi and Drouin get going again tonight here, Drew. I'm going to take the Montreal Canadiens on the money line.
All right, like in Montreal here, short underdogs. And guys, we mentioned the free play 4-2 on the year for the podcast. I'm going to tail it again, McGinnis, and we'll have that coming up. Lock it in towards the end of the podcast. McGinnis, before we get into the next game, just off the top of my head, I remember something really interesting with NHL betting we were talking about with the guys in the Uber, and they were being recorded, and they were talking, the smack about one of their assistant coaches. Have you followed along with, I forget which team it was, but how they've been doing, I guess, ATS since that happened?
Yeah, it was Ottawa, Drew. It was Ottawa.
It was.
And
okay.
They were in Arizona when that happened. And to be honest, I haven't heard about any disciplinary things, but I'll tell you one thing. That team has been scoring ever since, and they've looked better ever since. So, I mean, sometimes it takes certain things to ignite the offense, but wow, this team's been a massive, massive over team to say the least. So, I mean, a trend I can tell you, Drew, since that accident has definitely been the over. This Ottawa team can score. Again, they're a team that's been hated on so far this year as a team that's not going to succeed, not going to do well. But the only thing stopping them is a little bit of defense because this team has been scoring. So, hey, next time you want to, boost your team, maybe just get in some trouble with Uber.
Yeah, for sure. And tonight they got a 6.5 total, so the market onto it a little bit as far as putting that extra half a point. But we'll move down the card here. 61-62 Colorado, Nashville. Looks like 6 plus juice being the total towards the over. Heavy favorite here with Nashville laying 147 at home.
Yeah, this is really interesting here, Drew, because a lot of people, including myself, love to talk about this Nashville team as an offensive weapon, as a team that can't be stopped with guys like Ryan Johansson, Philip Forsberg, guys like that, even a guy like Nick Bonino. But I think it's really important to mention that their decor is so important. And, a lot of them like to push the pace and jump up into the rush. But you still got guys like Matthias Ekholm, Ryan Ellis, Roman Josi, Dan Hamhuis. And this is all without PK Subban being in the lineup. Of course, he's on the injured reserve. So this is a solid defensive core. And I believe Colorado's been stepping that up as well. And, we're going to see 2 solid goaltenders tonight, Rinne and Varlamov. So looking at this, I think we see an under. The total has gone under in 4 of the last meetings between these two teams. And, as dynamite as their top lines can be offensively, what makes these two teams great is that they can also win lower scoring games and really battle defensively and clog up that neutral zone big time. A lot of the centers on these two teams, Drew, noticeably go back check, help out, get right in the dirty areas, get behind the net and try and clear that puck out. They're very team-oriented, and that's why I like both these two teams. So I'm going to kind of go with the trend here and grab the under in this one. It's cashed 4 straight times, and these two teams, when they meet, of course, Varlamov and Rinne, solid goaltenders, off to a great start, leading their teams. I'm not going to touch the side in this one. We're having a pretty good feel with total so far this year, and we're going to go under the total of 6.
McGinnis, we got Pittsburgh at Winnipeg up next. And you'll have to excuse me, my Canadian geography is not 100% here. Where exactly is Winnipeg on the map?
Winnipeg, so it's more like West Coast, but it's like central Canada pretty much in Manitoba. So Winnipeg would be
not as far as Vancouver.
Sorry?
Not as far as Vancouver.
No, not as far as Vancouver. Not as far as Vancouver. It's it's more so just central Canada, so it's not as much of a trip really from Winnipeg to Pittsburgh, but Winnipeg's definitely its own climate, man. I'll tell you that. I mean, if I think I'm cold here in Nova Scotia, Winnipeg, one thing for those players, man, they're freezing down there, and it's one of the colder spots in Canada, but it's beautiful there. It's a great city. It's central Canada in Manitoba. I've never been there yet, but it's beautiful, I've heard, and a very, very passionate fan base, if you haven't heard that. So I'd love to get to a game sometime there.
Yeah, okay. Well, we got Pittsburgh being in Winnipeg tonight. Looks like 6.5 or 6. So this is a game. This is the first time that this has happened since we've been on the podcast together, and I've started to get into NHL betting with you. But seeing 6s at Bet Online, minus 130 juice, 6.5 at Bookmaker. So I don't know. Maybe as you're breaking this down, you can maybe go over as far as which one would be better, as far as playing the juice on 6 if you're looking at this total, or 6.5 with more moderate juice. But either way, we got Winnipeg laying minus 145 at home.
Yeah, I'll just start off by touching on that real quick, Drew. In my opinion, I think that overall, if you're confident in a total, you might as well just look at that 6.5, unless there's just incredible juice. If there's not that much juice on the 6, then go for it. But if you're going to be laying a lot of juice on the over with the 6, and you can get a 6.5 out there, there's no point in not taking that 6.5. If you're confident in that play, confident in the over in 7 goals anyway, don't play for the push, play for the win. So that's how I really feel in my opinion. But I've been kind of on the opposite side of it, Drew. Whenever I see a 6.5, we actually see a 7 tonight in the NHL as well. I've been looking to go under. I've been trying to convince myself why not to take the under. Of course, we know that in all sports, scoring has gone up, but defense still exists. And in this game, I don't think it will. I don't think defense will be around too much. And we're going to try and change things up here, Drew, and give out a first period pick here. I'm going to go first period total over 1.5. You can get it minus 130, but it's a great play. I love it. Both these two teams get off to great, fantastic starts. The fact is, Drew, Winnipeg is laying minus 140, and in my eyes, they probably should be laying a lot more. They're a way better team than Pittsburgh right now, but talent-wise, they're pretty much the same. And Pittsburgh's been underperforming more than I've ever seen them underperform in the past, 3, 4, 5 years. It's kind of sad to see right now. And of course, Crosby just coming back from an injury, it's obviously a factor, but this team's been pretty shameful to watch, and they're at the bottom of the East Division. But I guarantee you they'll be back up in that mix come the end of the season. But anyway, first period total over 1.5 goals. This game gets off to a fast start. Don't even bother touching that full game. We still have 2 solid goaltenders, but I think these two teams come off to a fast start. They're well rested. They'll be ready to go. And they're both scoring at alarming rates right now, and both being involved in plenty of high-scoring games. So first period over 1.5 goals.
All right, I like it, McGinnis. And we got a couple games left here. Guys, remember the coupon code Andrew NHL 398 at checkout. No spaces in there, just his first name, NHL 398 for the rest of his NHL season for just $398. Great deal there at sportsmemo.com. McGinnis, I'm not going to pretend to be able to beat the NHL betting markets at all. I'm a fan. I like to go to games. I'm actually going to try to get to a Panthers game down here in South Florida here soon. Awesome. But I like to follow your free bets and stuff like that, and kind of give it a go. Just as the gambler in me, and it's a fun sport. But yeah, and I'm doing a little kind of Blimps view handicapping here on this next game, Vegas at Chicago, and I'm seeing Vegas. I mean, what a Stanley Cup hangover it looks like. They're just 12-13 on the year, down 5 units. If you've been betting them every game, I believe I'm not mistaken in that. I may be, but is this something you look to continue here with Vegas? And we got them laying minus 135 on the road with a 5.5 total. Vegas at Chicago.
No, definitely. I think that you definitely hit that right on the head of the nail, and it's one of those things where, Drew, they really have stepped things up recently. I mean, they've gathered back-to-back wins, and they've proved to us, of course, they came back against Calgary and won 2-0 after getting embarrassed the previous week. And again, like I just mentioned previously, that 6-0 dominant win over the San Jose Sharks. And so they proved to us they can kind of stick around and make some stuff happen. But to me, this Vegas team still doesn't have the depth. They still don't have the all-stars. They don't have the guys to make it happen. And I'll continue to say that without Marc-Andre Fleury, their goaltender, they'd be in big, big trouble. I mean, he's their backbone. when they've had their backup goaltender, Malcolm Subban, in that, it hasn't gone too well for them whatsoever. So this team will be a bet against team for me to continue the season until they really start dropping in value and dropping in price. I mean, there's no reason at all, Drew. This team should be laying $1.35, $1.40 against this Blackhawks team. And I think that the Blackhawks, for me right now, and this isn't a popular opinion, are a bet-on team. And you can hold me to that, and we're going to talk about that as the weeks move on. This is a team that has really fallen off. They fired Coach Quenneville, a longtime coach for that team, led them to Stanley Cups, and they're kind of going down right now. I mean, they've got a really bad farm team. Their young guys aren't the best, but we can't forget they still have Brandon Saad, they still have Jonathan Toews, they still have Patrick Kane, they've got Alex DeBrincat stepping up. Anisimov is there. I mean, they've got guys that can make plays. Let's not forget that. They just picked up Dylan Strome. He's going to be a solid addition on their fourth line. This is a team that can still score and still execute. And let's not forget they still have guys like Duncan Keith on that back line. That's going to be good. And I think that, Corey Crawford's back from injury. They've got Cam Ward as their backup. This is a solid team, Drew. I could go on. I could keep rambling, but I think you guys get the point. I'm going to go with Chicago here, plus 110, plus 111 here. Solid price on my eyes, small underdog, and I think it's worth the price. I think that, first of all, Vegas has been terrible on the road. They haven't been able to get things done whatsoever. They've been great, on their own, but 4-9 last 13 games from the road, smaller scale there for you. And also an under is a solid play in this one. I think that two solid goaltenders, two teams struggle to score, and still a total that kind of surprises me in this one. So we're going to go, I think the 5.5 number, we're going to get plus 100 on the under. I'll take that as well. But we're also going to go with Chicago on the money line.
All right, McGinnis. Well, we got one more game here, plus the free pick. Also, I've noticed you've been giving out on Twitter some free picks. Give him a follow. He's a great follow on Twitter, at McGinnis Picks. We got last game up here, the get-back game, 10 p.m. Puck drop, Eastern time. Los Angeles at Vancouver, 5.5 the total. Looks like Vancouver, the Canucks, minus 105, minus 110 at home. So almost a pick-em game here, Los Angeles, Vancouver, McGinnis.
Two teams right now that flat out worry me, Drew. I've been talking about LA, how much they worry me, but now Vancouver's kind of fallen in that category. They're a young team, lots of youth, lots of scoring ability, but the chemistry hasn't been there recently. They've had some star players in and out of the lineup, and for that reason, I'm going to look under the total in this one. These two teams met just on the weekend, and Vancouver took care of things as underdogs, and now it's a little more of a pick-em type price, but I'll tell you, in a league that's a higher scoring league, when LA is averaging 2.2 goals per game, doesn't look good on them. Vancouver, a little bit better, 2.95, but overall, these two teams don't get quality shots, they don't get quality scoring chances, and whoever wins this one is going to be the better defensive team tonight. So we're going to go ahead and grab the under in this one as well. That's a plus price as well, plus 102, under 5.5. I see more of a 3-1, 3-2 style game in this one, so it'll go under the total. So that's kind of my final little pick here until we get to the best bet. Kings Canucks under the total.
Okay, so Kings Canucks under the total is your best bet?
No, that's just my play on that bet.
Okay, all right, fair enough, McGinnis, and we got the best bet coming up. And guys, remember the coupon code Andrew NHL 398 at checkout for his rest of season NHL. For just $398, great deal there at sportsmemo.com. 71-57 on the year, 4-2 on free plays, McGinnis. So I got my account up here. Where are we going?
We're going to Quebec. We're going to Montreal. We're going to take Montreal Canadiens. You can get them actually close to a plus price, but minus 105 most spots here. I'm going to go ahead and say this is a huge game for them. Not only because of Shea Weber's return, but mainly just because this team's been involved in so many close games, Drew. I haven't seen a team in the league so far lose so many games by one goal or in overtime. This is a team that can still score. They've still got three great lines that can score. A lot of people are saying, what do you mean by depth? They're asking me. How does this Montreal Canadiens team have depth? I'll tell you what that means to me. It means that they don't have a guy like John Tavares, Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews to carry the load. They've got three lines of guys that can all score. Sure, they don't have any all-stars. They've got the depth. They've got an all-star goaltender that gets better each and every game. Carey Price will up his game. And I think this is a huge game here for the Montreal Canadiens. They'll come out and have a huge performance. Best bet. We'll lock it in together here, Drew. Montreal Canadiens on the money line.
All right, man. I'm locked in right now. 50 to win, 52.50 on my Bet Online account. I got them plus 105. Is that off market?
Awesome. Yeah, I saw it a couple places like plus 101. Yeah, but most places minus 110. So that's awesome for you, Drew.
Yeah, plus 105. Let's do this. All right, McGinnis, we're locked and loaded. 56 Montreal Canadiens plus 105. That's right.
Sounds good. Let's take care of business.
All right, bud. Well, thanks for the time, McGinnis. We'll have you on next week as well, and hopefully get you on more here towards as the season progresses in the NHL. We got the coupon code Andrew NHL 398 at checkout for the rest of his NHL season for just $398. 71-57 on the year. Great stuff, McGinnis. Follow him on Twitter at McGinnisPicks. We will be back tomorrow with college basketball betting podcast. Best of luck with your bets tonight, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Some brands offer you low finance, or cashback, or servicing.
Renault don't do ors. We do ands. The Renault Kadjar with 1.91% APR and €1,000 cashback and 3 years servicing, saving you thousands. Renault, the brand with the ands. Visit your local Renault dealer. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.